like the kind of striker that I think would flourish at Liverpool, especially when they need a bit more legs. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in terms of like Liverpool's front line, whether Salah does end up going. Obviously, we're recording this on the Monday. The transfer window closes on Friday. Big rumours of massive bids from Saudi, like not only big bids but massive contracts as well. I think it would make him the highest paid player in the league. I think if you're Liverpool, you've kind of got to go, well, yeah, we'll take the 150 million and reinvest this. Because as brilliant as Salah is, like, and he's basically nailed on for 20 goals a year. He's 31. He's just got a massive bump a new contract, and I think that even though he's an unbelievable player, he causes an imbalance in the side because of his lack of defensive effort. When you've already got a right back who struggles, like, and he's playing on the same flank, and I think if you have a different kind of winger out there, even someone that's already at the club, you might have someone who offers a little bit more defensively, someone who offers a little bit more in the press, someone who can be a little bit more of a team player rather than a focal point, and like just doing that kind of messy thing of walking around until he gets a chance to play a ball through or score a goal. It might be better for the team, and it might offer a little bit more stability to allow Trent to be a little bit more creative, to step a little bit further up. And like I say, he's 31 going on 32. Like, he's in the peak of his career, but how long is he going to be, shining bright at this age? And 150 million for a guy that you're paying the world to, like, it has broken the all the pay structures at Liverpool for. Maybe like it's a really good opportunity to go, maybe we should have sold him when we could have done a couple of years ago, but now this is time to re-roll the dice again.
Yeah.
The dice, but like to have a go at that again and see what we could do with it, because I think that there's players there that can and will do a really good job on that right-hand side. Obviously, there's Diego Jota, who came off the bench and looks like his old self again, who can play anywhere across the front three. Darwin Nunez can play over there. I dare say Luis Diaz could do a similar thing on the different flank.
Harvey Elliott as well.
Yeah, Harvey Elliott, who can play out wide and do that kind of cutting inside creative thing there as well. And yeah, they've just got a ton under the Dutch lad as well, whose name's
Gakpo.
Gakpo, who can again play anywhere across the front three, and I think you've got a ton of options there to even go, all right, well, we can just use this to strengthen the other parts of the pitch that aren't as good. It's a big call, but
I can see.
I don't see it not going through because of the money that he's being offered. I can see him. Yeah. I can see him pushing it.
Yeah, I feel like at this stage in the window, I feel like, I know you get a load of money for him and stuff. I just don't know who the hell they can go and get to replace Salah. I feel like that's something you need to replace someone of Salah's quality. I feel like you need almost like a bit of a run up to it. Like, you need to know 6 months out that he's probably going to go, rather than almost like how we've seen they've been in with like with losing Henderson Fabinho, like I said before. But that was always part of the plan that eventually can get moved on. This was probably going to be the last season Henderson and Fabinho were there. But they end up moving on a year early, and now Liverpool end up being massively underprepared and have struggled to bring in a six. Obviously, they brought in Endo, but no one really knows how that's going to go this season. And, just on reputation, it's a step down from Henderson and Fabinho. I think if you were to sell him even today or even on deadline day, like, the pressure on FSG to go out and find someone that is almost... And it's difficult finding guarantees in the transfer market as it is, to try and find someone who's going to step in and do the Salah job, or try and, again, it's like going back to what we said about Harry Kane, trying to bring in those goals back into the team. Me personally, I was almost on stream the other week, like, I understand the money, the financial side of it, but I just think in terms of what it could mean for your season, for the Liverpool season, I just don't think it's. I don't think it's worth. I think if anything, it's worth more keeping him than getting the 150 million quid. Do you know what I mean?
I think the perfect comparison is Harry Kane, right? Like, we saw this week earlier, someone saying play better without a Harry Kane. I've heard it argued in the past that Spurs played better without Harry Kane as a unit, because he was always the focal point. Everything went through him. And I wonder whether it is the same with Salah. Like, it could be a thing of, yeah, you're obviously losing it. Don't take this as me not thinking Salah's a good player, because he's obviously unbelievable footballer. And has been consistently in the entire time he's been at Liverpool, and previous, to be fair. But for a player that is approaching the end of his peak, a player that is massively valued to you, but also doesn't offer the energy that it seems like everyone else on the pitch is expected to give, yeah, you're losing 20 goals a year, but could a tweak mean that as a unit they are better? Like, it's always a case that a team is always better than an individual, and obviously he's played his part as an individual in that team, but it always felt like previously when Liverpool were really on the front foot and playing really well, he was a part of that pressing unit, the always running, always covering, all that kind of thing. Whereas the last year, 18 months, it's felt he's hanging around up front waiting for his chance. And I don't know whether that's a tactical thing that Klopp's asked him to do, or whether it's to try and maintain his level at his age for a little bit longer. Because like there's a lot of players that do, like, because Messi always used to be, you know, right in with the press. Like everyone in that Barcelona team was a high press merchant. Same with Ronaldo. Like, yeah, he wasn't a pressing merchant, but he'd run all day and he'd do everything. Whereas later in the career, to kind of prolong their legs and their effectiveness, like, do a little bit less. You don't run for 80% of the game, you run for 60. Like, and I wonder whether allowing that to go and either bringing in some reinforcements or allowing the players that are already at the club to do that could be, you know, the best thing for the team. Yeah,
it's interesting. I think, like I say, it all depends on whether Salah pushes for that move or not. So the salary's being offered, you wouldn't blame him for pushing for it, I suppose, because it is a astronomical, silly amount of money, really. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like, deadline day usually throws up some like unexpected or like dramatic sort of storylines, and I do wonder if that's going to be it for this. That's going to be the one for this year. Is like if because it realistically, if he stays, you know, I know the Saudi transfer window shuts later than the Premier League one, but like Liverpool absolutely won't sell him. Like, if it's after the Premier League transfer window, but. It'll be interesting to see if they make a real solid push for him on deadline day or towards the end of the window.
I think more than anything, like, this transfer window has been that as well.
Yeah.
Because of the Saudi investment. Yeah. It's been the most chaotic, and just the fees being thrown around. More the wages than the fees, I've said, like I said in the past, but this would be one of those ones where it's like, okay, now you're starting to take world-class players still in their prime, and like, that just shows us like there is no it costs too much. It's like, how much does it cost? Write the number on this check. Yeah, get him in. Like, it's going to be an interesting few years. This is like, especially if they carry on this kind of strategy of just blowing everyone out of the water with wages. And I know, like, it's quite ironic that as a fan of a Premier League team, saying, "Oh well, no one can afford to stick with the wages being offered in Saudi." But at the same time, it's like, well, it was done differently in the Premier League. Obviously, now it is the juggernaut it is. But, you know, at periods over the last 30 years, Italy's been bigger. You know, Spain's been bigger. They've been offering big wages. Germany's always been like offering really good wages, especially at the big teams.
It's only really since the TV deal came in that the Premier League sort of had that financial advantage over everyone else.
Exactly, and like the reason that. Like, I dare say, if the whole Calciopoli thing hadn't have happened in Italy, they'd be in the same position that the Premier League are, because that was the biggest league. All the best players are in Italy. All the best teams are in Italy. Like, everybody wanted to beat the Italian teams in the Champions League, be it one of the Milan teams or Juve or whoever. Like, that was always the aim, like to be as good as them. Calciopoli happened. It all kind of fell out. The funding fell through because the trust fell out. Like, the people stopped going watching the matches, and the Premier League picked it up and ran with it, and this is where we are at the minute. So, you know, if something goes down another path, you know, the butterfly's wing flaps a different way, and like you've got the Premier League money in Italy, and you'd be having the same discussion. But it feels different with the Saudi League, because it is obviously a massive sovereign fund where they've just gone, throw this at whatever you need. We want to make this the biggest thing, rather than a product that is bringing money back in because the product's so good. It is here's a blank check, just make things happen. So I don't know, it's going to be really weird, and I think it's just going to have far-reaching impact on football for a long time, regardless of, you know, what other leagues do, and especially with things like the Benzema situation and like the Jota situation, where it looks like he's being farmed out a month after he's joined because he's not a big enough name. And it's like, it's kind of showing itself to be this very vapid, just money driven, like, you know, pony show, which obviously football is, but to see it in that light I think it's going to really open a lot of people's eyes and, like I say, have long-reaching impacts on football.